June 15th, 2026 Plan Commission meeting to order. First thing is to rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome everyone. For those that maybe have not been to a Plan Commission meeting in the past, we do have sign-in sheets. If you're here to speak in regards to any project, there are sign-in sheets specific to those projects back there. We do need you to sign in. We will be calling people to present in the order that people sign in. And I will call names for people to come up to the microphone and speak. If you are speaking tonight, just try to keep comments specific to the project. Sometimes we get people talking about a project that was approved months ago. Just try to stay on task there. Also, we try to have folks not overly repeat the same message. If you do concur with somebody, it's fine to say, I agree with so-and-so that spoke earlier, but don't belabor on that if they had already belabored on that, if you could. Just helps us out, keep things moving. And with that, I'm going to ask Mike for attendance.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nikki Finelli, absent. Brad Johnson.
Present.
Craig Melton.
Present.
Jim Hurst.
Present.
Josh Fedor.
Present.
Kendrick Davis.
Present.
Nick Plopper.
Present.
We have a quorum of 6-1.
Thank you, Mike. We do have a Planning and Building Department monthly report that's able to be found online. We will move on from that to item number 4, which is our minutes from the May 18th, 2026 meeting. We have any corrections or a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries. We have continuance requests. Item number 2026-04-PP, JB Partners LLC, Walnut Run Primary Plat. And then we have also partnered with that is 2026-05-DP, JB Partners LLC, Walnut Run Development Plan. Because those are the same project, I just wanted to, we need a motion to grant the continuance or to debate whether or not they should be continued.
This was a staff request continuance?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Could you add a little color to that for us, Roger?
At last month's Plan Commission meeting, the project, both the primary plat and the development plan, were presented to you for consideration. There's quite a bit of discussion about things that the Plan Commission either had questions on or wanted to see revised. The petitioner was provided a date as to when those materials were needed to be heard at tonight's meeting. That date was based upon staff needing a certain amount of time to review those materials. Materials were not provided by that deadline date. I got in touch with them. They said that we're going to get them to you within the next few days. I just said, we gave you the date because we need time to review. And I just told them we're going to have to continue to make sure other projects are not harmed for lack of ability to review. So I just told them staff is going to have to continue the two petitions to the following month, which is the request noted.
I myself am just concerned that we're having a lot of continuances, and it just stacks up. It's a larger workload for us to keep track of. It's a larger workload for staff. And I know that I've heard folks say that they just get frustrated that we're granting continuances seemingly endlessly. I know there's a 6 continuance maximum, but we do need to know that people are kind of the test for a continuance is that they're showing progress. I'm not sure that this project has shown us progress in what they said they were working on. They do get 1 continuance by right per our rules, per our ordinance, so we would never deny somebody 1 continuance. But my concern is that I'm not sure that we're getting progress in this particular one, and this is the fourth. This would be the fourth continuance for this project.
Yes, the deadline to meet the 6-month maximum requirement, this will have to be heard and acted upon no later than the August meeting.
I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not inclined to continue it because it seems like it's under legal dispute as well. I don't know what grounds we have to not continue it, but.
I did inquire with the petitioner about that topic that came up at last month's meeting, and they have assured me, and I have checked county records, I've checked the name of the petitioner that's on file. Everything matches up that they can file as the property owner of record. Now, what side agreement the petitioner might have with the other individual that showed up at last month's meeting, I have no information on that whatsoever, and I am not sure what bearing that would actually have on your review of the primary plat and development plan. It sounded to me as more of a civil matter than anything.
Yeah, Kendrick, your rules and your ordinance say that your consideration of a continuance after the by right is that the requester, in this case Roger, but the requester has to show you good cause for the continuance and also show you that no other party would be substantially harmed by the continuance. And then the other rule that allows you to grant a continuance says that the Plan Commission may also grant a continuance at any time in its discretion. So if you're looking for factors to consider, those would be the factors. This, of course, is a request by staff, which is a little different. And again, I think that if you're frustrated by the lack of progress, I would certainly note that for the petitioner so that that could be communicated by staff. And then, yeah, the timeline's getting really short because it must be resolved. You have a rule that says the cumulative total of continuances can't be more than 6 months. And that's what that's why it would have to be heard in August at the latest.
And we're confident the petitioner's not here with us tonight.
That is my understanding, correct. Again, because staff was requesting the continuance, not them.
I would like to make a motion to continue this to the July meeting, and with the understanding that this has been on our docket for quite a while with no movement on it, and this would be absolutely the last continuance on this I would support.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, if we were to deny the motion for a continuance this evening, is the petitioner then forced to withdraw and then they can resubmit after 6 months? Is that what the procedural rule?
Yeah, if we do not allow or deny the continuance, then it would be a 6-month wait.
I bring it up because this is not the only petition before us tonight that kind of falls under this set of
Well,
circumstances, so.
Are we confident about that? Do we not have to hear the petition with the
Yeah.
evidence we have if we
Yeah, remember
deny the
the-
continuance?
We could just have staff's
Negative
communications.
action, you would just call the case under new business.
They're not here.
I understand. But it is not an automatic withdrawal. The rules say that if you deny the continuance, then the matter's heard at the public hearing.
Well, seems to me petitioner's making an assumption that it's going to be routinely granted. They're not here to defend their request, which I think I look upon that disfavorably. So I just encourage us to be consistent across all the petitions before us tonight that fall in the same set of circumstances that, we've had repeated requests. So that's my position on that.
Because I'm concerned that staff has to reach out to these petitioners to get the documents they need on the timeline to get this stuff in front of us. You shouldn't have to be asking these people to bring this into you, telling them that there's a deadline and they missed it or so forth. While I understand the petitioner's not here, I don't think it's right that we deny it because of the fact they're not here. Staff requested it, but I'm with Jim in that I don't like doing it, but I understand because the petitioner's not here, so.
Roger, how often is staff reaching out to petitioners requesting documentation?
Well, first of all, the deadlines for submittals for materials that are going to be presented at public hearing, that is on the 2026 Plan Commission schedule that was published back in October, November of '25. So it is known what this month's deadline is. It is known what next month's and the following months are already. We typically, after, on Tuesday, when we send results out to the petitioners, for those petitioners that are continued, typically, I can't say that we do this every time, it's maybe a failing of staff, but typically we will notify them, your petition was continued. For next month's hearing, your deadline date for materials is X.
And then how often are you making calls out to request documents?
When that date comes and goes, we then reach out to them and say, hey, we need your materials, where do we stand?
Sounds to me like they're going above and beyond and trying to make sure developers do their job.
And if it's a little late.
Yeah, I think staff is being awfully nice.
And what, if they had not submitted this and you had not called them and asked for it, would it have been removed from the docket, automatically withdrawn?
I don't know, because I don't want to let it get that far. If I don't receive materials, I'm curious as to why, and I'm going to reach out to them.
Any other conversation? We've got a motion to move this to the July meeting with a warning that this will be the last continuance. Hearing no other conversation about it, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Should we call roll?
Go ahead, Mike.
For a motion for yeses to continue to July 20th. Jim Hurst,
Aye.
Kendrick Davis,
Aye.
Nick Plopper,
Nay.
Josh Fedor,
Aye.
Craig Melton,
Aye.
Brad Johnson,
Aye.
Nick Finelli, absent, excuse me. Motion carries.
So that is for both items that were for Walnut Run primary plat and the development
That was
plan.
my intent of my motion, yes.
Yes. We have another continuance request, 2026-14-DP, Callaway Group Church refiling. That is, again, another request for continuance. Staff, do you want to speak to that? What do we know on that?
I know that this petition was presented to you for discussion, I believe, at the April 20th meeting. There were requests made from the Plan Commission for information about the traffic study, as well as some drainage information. Petitioner took that, and my understanding is they have initiated work to respond to that. I know that the petitioner is here this evening to answer any questions, but even though the requests have been made to various professionals to provide answers to your questions, it is taking time. So with that, I'll stop and defer to the petitioner.
The petitioner, could you come up to the podium, please? The microphone. So as you probably just heard our previous case, we're trying to show that there's progress being made and understand the need for additional continuances when they start stacking up. So if you could speak to kind of the need for the continuance and tell us where you're at with the process.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. Thank you, members of staff and Planning Commission, for tonight. We do want to request more time. We are at your request from the April hearing. We are trying to deliver a traffic study, drainage plan with calculations, landscape plan, updated site plan with parking layouts. And unfortunately, because of the amount of development around here, all the surveyors and engineers are saying, we can't look at this project for 6 weeks. We can't look at this project for 8 weeks. Then once we do look at it, we need 8 weeks. And so it's not that I'm holding up getting back to you guys or delivering you what I want to deliver to speed our project up. But it's just that we can't, we're waiting on professionals to give us evidence that you guys will be happy with, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You heard from our previous request for a continuance that our attorney just mentioned that the maximum continuance we can grant is 3 months, but also the maximum we can grant in total is 6 months. And I'm just wondering, based on the math you just shared, is whether or not we're going to get there, because based on the submission date, when that material comes in, say a traffic study, our engineers are going to look at that traffic study, and they need a little bit of time to look at it and just kind of verify.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, we get a traffic study that's a little biased, and so we just need our staff to take a look at those things as well. And I'm just wondering, is there enough time based on some of the dates that you just mentioned? If they need 8 weeks and it's going to take 8 weeks to get there, we're going to be beyond the 6-month time frame.
I'm hopeful that we won't, but that's why I'm requesting a continuance while they're working on it. I would like to, if you want.
So here's just a scenario, and I'm just trying to play this out a couple different ways. One is if the project is withdrawn or the continuance is denied tonight, just throwing out a hypothetical, is that sets a 6-month time frame before you could come back. And if you wait, 2 more months before you're before us again, you may bump past that 6-month time, and we're going to be forced to. And then that sets a 6-month clock. So waiting 2 or 3 months to get that denial of a continuance puts you even farther down the road versus if you.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that we can, that we will have the right detail that you guys are requesting, which was quite a lot, for the August hearing. So I'm requesting this month, but I'm also requesting July.
So July's deadline, I think, is 10 days from
Right.
now.
It's pretty quick.
So that's a pretty quick turnaround. Then I'm just curious, do you have like contracts with
Yeah.
the companies that are doing this, and you're
Yes,
just in
correct, yeah.
queue?
Yep.
Okay. All right, any other questions of the petitioner?
Again, this is one that staff had to reach out to them and ask them, where do we stand? I mean, they're here. This wasn't a staff request. This is a petitioner request and second petitioner request, and they're telling me 4 months before you're going to have any real information for us. I think a denial of continuance actually is going to save you time. I appreciate staff reaching out as they do, but I don't think that's very, very not nice of staff to do.
Other conversation before we do motions?
We clarify, because I think we first saw this petitioner in November. I'm looking at our report, our agenda.
January.
Talks about the 2 previous continuances that we've had, continued from April, continued from May, but this project, was it withdrawn last fall and then resubmitted? Or, we're past 6 months already.
It was heard in January, and then there was significant changes, and it was brought back in April. And then we motioned a continuance just once last month.
I believe it was denied, and then they made, per staff's interpretation, they made substantial enough changes to be able to come in with a new application.
I would echo Josh's comments. I think, I'm not inclined to grant a continuance. I think that actually would save petitioner time based on what I'm hearing and the record on this project.
Any Others, we need a motion or further deliberation.
This plan commission asked for items. I think all developers need to take stronger responsibility for staying in touch proactively with our staff and providing the materials needed or explaining why ahead of deadlines, not after deadlines. So I am all for hard lines in the sand, but I don't find it particularly fair to draw them tonight on without first warning. So I would not be supportive of a denial, but I would be supportive of a motion to the August meeting, making it very clear that I'm done with any more motions to continue after that, would be my position.
2 months out versus 1 month out.
I don't see how they have anything for us a month out from the petitioner's own testimony.
Do we get to take public comment on this?
I don't think so. We've never had a public comment process with continuances. It's nothing, there's not any process for that in our rules.
Well, I mean, so we've got a request for a continuance, which typically would be the next month, but that's 10 days away to meet a deadline. So we're already looking at August. So that would be 4 continuances total in my mind. And these projects need to be ready when they're submitted. Otherwise, we waste our time every month talking about these things. And I just encourage the developers and petitioners to be ready when you submit. It's frustrating.
Even if we go to August, that essentially is giving them, they're 10 days from a deadline now, that puts it out 40 days. You're 8 weeks from having somebody even look at it. So I'm afraid you're gonna come back in August and ask for another continuance. You know, like I said, I think we'll be saving time by denying it myself.
All right, we need a motion.
I move that 2026-14-DP continuance request be denied.
Second.
It was
Nick,
Nick.
any other deliberation?
I'll raise, on the point of deliberation, I believe the record that could be evidenced tonight would be incomplete, because on site safety concerns, I think I would like to hear more from the town engineer and from the fire marshal. And I failed to prepare enough to ask them to consider being here tonight so I could hear their testimony, presuming this would get a continuance. If it doesn't, that's on me. I'll know for next time, but that's my position.
I think the only thing that kind of gives me a little heartburn about it is we asked them to bring us information, and we're not allowing them the opportunity to do that. Whatever that timeline is what that timeline is. And I just don't feel like that's fair, just in my opinion. So I do, though, think that you should take a second. I don't know if you have people here to talk with, and understanding what we've talked about, to see if it is something that you do want to withdraw, so that it doesn't push it another, 2 months. So you're looking about 8 months from now, rather than what could be a shorter timeline with, a denial of the continuance tonight. So I don't know if you want to do that or not, or you just kind of want to let it let it ride how it's going to ride, roll the dice. But I at least want to afford you that opportunity after kind of hearing everybody talk, if that's.
I think we're allotted 6 months, right? That we can, I feel that if we get to there and I don't have some significant evidence that we.
You just speak at the microphone.
Yeah,
You
sorry.
just need to get that on record.
Yeah, sorry. So I feel we're allowed 6 months. I feel like if we get to there and I don't have significant enough evidence for you guys, that denial would be understandable. But we're at the 11th hour and our hands are tied. You guys are asking us for quite a bit of, it's not just a drainage study, it's a traffic study, it's a tree calculation study, it's tree inventory, quite a few professionals involved that we're trying to stack up. And if we can get that in before September, I would really like the 6 months to get that back to you. I'm not dragging my feet trying to delay the project. I would like to move the project along. So,
Just to be clear, the 6 month is not a given, it's a maximum that we can allow.
Sure. Yeah, I get
But
that.
that would require us to grant those continuances up to that point.
yeah, which,
Me personally, I mean, if they think they can have something in front of us in 10, whatever, it's to staff in 10 days, that's what he's asking for, I would be inclined to doing that 30-day. But I don't have high hope that we would get everything resolved at that point. And then, so this would be the warning, and then next time would be the denial.
And when you say next time, are you talking about July or? are you
July.
talking- Okay.
And that's where I'm at. But
And
I still think
this
that's
is-
going to put them farther behind, because if it doesn't
Right.
show up by July, then they're
But
going to
I-
have 6 month delay starting at that point.
And I think this is an example of an incomplete project being brought forth to the Plan Commission. That there just wasn't enough, in my opinion, that there just wasn't enough there, so.
All right, so we've all, I think, spoken. Craig, do you want to weigh in at all? I don't think you've voiced your thoughts on it. If not, that's okay.
You know, I understand both both sides of this, on both sides, and I just, after kind of understanding some of the process of like how we can by right allow continuance, or if somebody shows progress, I think we need to see the progress. I need to see a contract. To me, that's what I need to see. I don't need just a request, but I don't know that we've ever, as the planning department, has ever requested, hey, here's our progress, or show me the progress. So that's where I'm hung up as the new planning commissioner. I don't know how part of that has run. Are you about to say something?
I was just going to say, I mean, if we can ask for that evidence, I mean, that's.
Well,
that is
I
fair
think,
to
I think that's what, I need to see a contract that says, hey, we've contracted this company, for me to be comfortable with saying, hey, let's give them more time.
We've got a motion on the table. I want to be respectful of that. But,
It's a motion to deny, correct?
it is. What you're leaning to, and I don't want to
Is the
belabor
opposite.
this, is just, it sounds like you would make a motion possibly that says, give them until July, but only if they show evidence that they have a signed contract or something to that effect.
Well, I think they should have brought that to, I think that should be required for any continuance.
Respectfully, that should have been submitted before tonight's meeting. We have clear timelines in our rules of procedure. We cannot let those timelines be dictated by phantom third-party contractors, period. Those rules are there for a reason.
All right, Mike, let's do a roll call.
Can you say what the?
Yeah,
motion
the
is?
motion is to deny the continuance. Josh Fedor,
Aye.
Nick Plopper,
Aye.
Kendrick Davis,
Nay.
Jim Hurst,
Nay.
Craig Melton,
Aye.
Brad Johnson.
Nay.
So that is 1, 2, 3, 3, yeah. Motion does not pass. Motion does not pass.
I make a motion to, I've lost the language for it. Continue this petition to the July regularly scheduled Plan Commission meeting, and would request that the town engineer and the fire marshal provide site safety evidence either in writing or in personal testimony at that meeting.
Go ahead.
Well, this is yours.
We have a motion. We need let's let that play out real quick. We have a second, then we'll deliberate.
I'm going to miss, I guess, Brad.
I would second it.
All right.
We have a second for Brad?
I mean, the reality is, I don't think they're going to be ready, and we're going to be doing a denial at the next meeting, but I think giving them a warning, yes.
So
That's reason
can
why
you,
I'm seconding
can
it.
you amend your,
Thank you.
can you amend your motion to add supporting documentation that there's a contract?
Yes.
So we can keep this rolling?
yes.
If, should that be the case?
yes, I would say that we need evidence of contracted work for the requirements previously set forth by the Plan Commission. And again, not in a position where I would consider future motions to continue.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mike?
This is a motion to continue to July 20th with subject to supporting documentation. Brad Johnson?
Aye.
Jim Hurst?
Aye.
Craig Melton?
Aye.
Josh Fedor?
Aye.
Kendrick Davis?
Aye.
Nick Plopper?
Nay.
We have 4 in favor.
That was 5 in favor, 1
1, 2,
against?
3, 4, 5, excuse me, 5 in
Yes.
favor.
All right. It's been continued to the next month's meeting. All right, we have one more continuance, 2026-23-DP, Alt Construction, Dart Controls Office and Warehouse. This, I believe, is their first request for continuance. Is that correct, staff?
Yes, yeah.
So they get, everyone gets one.
Yep.
So I think this is a pretty simple one to, we just need a motion to continue this one that they get by right.
I will note they did get this to us on May 22nd too, so well before our deadline.
Do we want to continue this to next month or the following months to give them, do we have any sense as to how much time they need? Because they get 10 days between the next filing deadline.
Correct. I believe they're aware of the timeframe, but the TAC comments that came up, they are pursuing a redesign on the site. I think they would be ready in July, but if you want to continue it to August, that would be great.
We're finding out that folks are
Yep.
not able to get things delivered in a
Right.
10-day period of time. So I think maybe a new thought process by the Plan Commission maybe is going to be helpful for all of us.
I would move the docket 2026-23 DP initial filing for development plan for 2 industrial buildings on 2.7 acres in the Urban Light Industrial I-1 District be continued to the regularly scheduled August 2026 meeting.
Second.
Second was,
Craig.
okay.
All right, any discussion about that? All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. All right. Staff will let them know that's been continued. Nothing on the consent agenda tonight. And then moving on to new business, we have 2026-22-DP, Elliott Russell Martial Arts Studio. Staff, do you want to give us a brief introduction to that project?
Yes, thank you. If my screen could be promoted, please. Thank you. The petition before you, as mentioned, is a development plan approval for a 3,200 square foot building on approximately 3.5-4 acres of ground located at 795 US 421. That is an approximate address. We know that the address would change upon approval of this. On the screen in front of you is a location map for orientation purposes. The subject site is part of what is currently a larger parent parcel, is the terminology I'll use. The petitioner will be subdividing or splitting this piece off of the parent parcel upon the approval of a development plan. They were able to do this without going through the subdivision control process because the parent parcel existed in this configuration on January 1st of 1999. And our zoning ordinance does allow a parcel that existed in the current configuration on that date to be split one time without going through the subdivision process. They are choosing not to split this until they get confirmation that the development plan would be approved. So staff has included in the report, if the development plan would be approved, a condition of that approval would be the recording of a survey to show this split. This map is the zoning map, which shows the property is zoned Rural General Industrial District, or I-2, and the proposed use of a martial arts studio has been determined to be classified as an indoor recreational facility, which is a permitted use in that I-2 district. Again, this is a site plan that shows, again, the parent parcel and the proposed dividing line, and that would be, again, shown on a recorded survey with the county recorder's office. This is an enlargement of the site plan, which shows the building and the related parking areas. One unique feature of this site is that while the property is zoned I-2, I'm going to go back to the zoning map real quick, the immediate parcel to the east is zoned R2. When you have two very dissimilar zoning classifications abutting each other, that calls for a large buffer within the zoning ordinance. And in this case, it would be a level K buffer, which requires a minimum width of 50 feet and an earth berm of 6 feet in height and a 6-foot tall masonry wall on top of that berm. And so that is what this drawing is showing. There's the wall on top of the berm, and then a significant amount of plantings that are required to go along with that to meet the level K standard. The building itself would be basically of a pole barn design with metal walls and red roof, red wainscoting, and red trim. And because the property would be split, the resulting parcel that this would be constructed on would not be within the Michigan Road overlay, therefore it would not be subject to the Michigan Road overlay requirements for architecture and elevated landscaping, things like that. If the property is not split, this development would be subject to those Michigan Road overlay standards. But again, as staff has said in the conditional action, a split would be required for this development plan to be applicable, because otherwise it would not meet the architectural standards of the Michigan Road overlay. So again, should you choose to approve this development plan, they will be required to split the property. Therefore, this subject site would be outside of that Michigan Road overlay. Staff supports conditional approval of the submitted development plan, subject to a recorded survey and deed establishing the lot split be provided to the town prior to the issuance of any permits related to the project. We are still waiting on some cut sheets of lighting fixtures for the lighting of the site. They're not proposing a lot of lighting on this, and this photometric that they have provided does comply, but we were still needing cut sheet of the pole-mounted lighting that would be utilized. And finally, the third item of conditional approval would be resolution of any outstanding items identified within the Department of Public Works comment letter, which is Exhibit 6 of your staff report. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
All right, questions for staff, clarifications? I have one, and that is just simply that a lot of the historic ordinances for counties, particularly in Indiana, have a clause that says that you can get a certain number of by right splits from a parent tract. That parent tract is usually locked in many decades prior, not just recently. I'm just wondering, is there any evidence that this lot that exists there wasn't already a remnant of a split from previous generations, because they should lose that if that's the case.
Again, our ordinance is clear that it establishes the date of January 1st, 1999, and deeds were provided that showed the deed that was in place on January 1st of 1999. The legal description of the property involved in that deed matches what is the legal description of that parent parcel today. So I don't know if the parent parcel as I'm describing it was the portion or part of a previous split. That I do not know.
So if it was part of a previous split, part of a plat, that is no longer a parent tract by definition, I believe, meaning that, like, for instance, if there was a residential subdivision and then on that date, everyone's granted a split by right, it would not apply to plats in a subdivision. And if this was part of a plat prior to that, then that usually removes that by right status of a, do we know if this was platted?
That this was not platted. It is a full meets and bounds description
Okay.
of the property.
Okay. Just think we need to know that if that hurdle was truly met. All right, is the petitioner here? All right, come on up to the microphone. State your name, please, and address.
Yes, Curtis Heyman. I'm with Milmar Builders, the builder for the project, representing client Russell Elliott. I believe he's here via Zoom. So is our civil team via Zoom as well, if there's any questions in regards to that.
I'll stop you just for a second, just for a point of clarity. We've been sticking to our 10-minute limit. You may only have a 1-minute presentation, that's fine, but just because we, in previous years, have not been focused on that as much, I just want to, you're the first case, and I just want to make sure you knew that we have a 10-minute time frame for petitioners. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I believe Roger hit on anything, open to any questions you might have, but that pretty much covered everything.
All right, so that was a well
Pretty
below
quick.
10-minute
Yeah,
presentation.
he covered it.
So
He did a pretty good job.
He heard
We'll
you.
keep
My
it moving for you.
presentation was longer than yours, so thank you for that. All right, any questions for the petitioner?
This may be for staff, or maybe for the petitioner as well. Do you feel comfortable with these concerns DPW has being resolved? I mean, there's some big ones on here, you know, pond depth needs to be under 7 feet, and it's 11.5 currently. Does this all feel comfortable that it can be accomplished?
I believe so. I can see if our civil team is on. I'm not sure how they actually communicate to you guys via Zoom, but they are here. Yeah, Dante, it'd be Mitten State Civil Engineering.
While he is pulling him up, I can say that I contacted DPW to confirm the comments in the letter are these showstoppers, are these red flags, are the yellow flags. They were comfortable with this still going forward as a conditional approval.
Just seemed like there was a lot on that DPW. I mean, we're down to several bullet points there, and some of them can be a little bit concerning, so.
Just my editorializing again is that, I mean, I'm hoping that we can communicate to the development world that we want things teed up and more in a final form before we get it. I appreciate staff and DPW and others willing to work with folks for some things, but I don't know where that line in the sand really is, but just hoping that we can get things teed up and not have such a list.
I think they make.
All right, so do we have somebody on Zoom, is that correct?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hi, my name is Dante Pinot with Mitten State Engineering, where we're the civil engineering firm on this project. And yes, we've reviewed preliminarily the comments for DPW, and we're working on addressing those. At this point, I don't believe we have any major concerns. I think we're going to be able to address everything. And regarding the depth of the pond, I believe that we're going to have we have a couple options for how to address that and on site and make sure that that's going to meet the minimums on that site. There is a lot of area to the south of the development as currently shown that could be utilized to expand it if it had to be shrunk or something like that. So the other things in the comments related to the swale along the east, I know that has been a concern that's been brought up, and the proposed berm kind of naturally creates a swale along the east, allowing drainage to go south and into the proposed detention pond. So at this point, we don't have any major concerns in addressing these comments to the town's satisfaction.
All right, thank you.
Any other
Thank you.
questions for the petitioner? All right, so at this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing for this particular case. If you want to sit down for a moment and see if we have anybody from the public. Jody, is there any sign-in?
We had no one sign up for this petition.
Okay, so we are opening the public hearing, but I just reread our rules, and it says technically we should deliberate before we close the public hearing, so I'm going to do that tonight. Any discussion or anything more you need to know before we have a motion?
Yeah, so I'm just unclear. So the project site is not under the Michigan Road Overlay scrutiny now, or it won't be at all? Could you help me with that? Is that a staff thing, I guess? Excuse me. Yes.
I would direct that to staff. Technically, that whole property is in the overlay now, but if they
Okay.
split it off,
But it's not split now, right?
correct.
So, so it's not split now, but there's a request for this structure. So they're not meeting the Michigan overlay requirements as of right now. So why are we doing this in reverse, I guess?
When the project was filed, made the petitioner aware that the parent parcel, and if my screen could be promoted again, please. Thank you. Again, just to make sure we're all looking at the same thing, the parent parcel comes all the way down to this area and then back. And what is being proposed for development is that area that is outlined in white. When the project was initially filed, that was made clear to staff that they were looking to only do a portion of the site. And we told them, or we made them aware that that would need to be split. And they didn't want to go through that effort and create two parcels if they weren't sure that the development plan was going to be approved, because the property owner didn't want to split it unless this project was going to receive development plan approval. And so it was relayed to them, it would be reviewed as if it were not within the Michigan Road overlay, with the condition that should it be approved, they would have to provide a recorded survey and deed showing that this lot does exist prior to any permits being issued for the project.
Statute, Indian law provides for what I call the alternative methodology of creating a new parcel. Normally, you have to plat, but there is this one section that says you can create a new lot by simply recording a survey, the suggestion that Roger speaks of. My concern would be, in terms of timing, is that if you have conditional approval, with all due respect to what they're saying, but if you're going to approve the development plan, I would recommend that you make the petitioner take whatever steps necessary, and I would put a time limit on it, because this could hang out there for a while, and I don't think that serves anyone's purpose. They're kind of asking that you consider it one way because of something they'll do in the future, so I think that in that kind of a situation, that the development plan approval should have that condition, that they take those steps within, I don't know, Roger, whatever you think is appropriate, 30, 60 days or something, but don't make it open-ended, because then as long as that new lot is not created, the Michigan Road overlay does apply. It just seems to me that we need to
think
tie
that's-
those two things together.
I think that's my concern. As of right now, it's not subdivided, so therefore, we should meet the standards of Michigan Road overlay, and that's what we should be presented with. And I understand the cart and the horse, which one first, but what's in front of me, and I know what you stated to them is what you stated, and I understand that. But we're faced with, as he mentioned, when's it gonna happen? And so you're suggesting as our attorney, if this gets approved conditionally, request a time frame.
Very specific, yes. If it's going to be approved, yeah.
And I would add that there's no possibility of them getting a permit for construction until the lot is subdivided, deeds recorded with the new legal description.
So I'm just going to play this out, is that, let's say that lot gets split off, it's also zoned the same thing, it's likely to going to go commercial, but that property is going to have to meet so we're going to have the corner lot, Michigan Road overlay, the next lot, Michigan Road overlay, this site, not Michigan Road overlay, and then an estate residence. And our state residence across the street as well. And I know we don't have the comprehensive plan that we've been working on for a couple of years now fully adopted. I think it's in its final form from what I understand. And this area is showing estate residential as the target. So, I just.
Not that we can consider an unadopted comprehensive plan, as you know.
I'm curious what the current comprehensive plan says for this area.
And while you're looking at that, does the Michigan Road overlay, the site that is left over from the split, is that large enough to meet the requirements that are within the Michigan Road overlay?
Well, while he's looking up I'm sorry, can you?
I have the information on the comprehensive plan.
Okay.
From the staff report, specifically where I'm talking about the findings. The subject property is identified in the Union Township future land use map as being most appropriate for landfill and light industrial. The proposed development is consistent with the intent and purpose of that comprehensive plan.
All right, so a couple other concerns for me are that we've now got this business, the business to the east of them, to the west of them, that's going to be dumping out onto Taylor Avenue. Taylor Avenue is a really narrow road from what I recall. We've got successful businesses on the corner. There's going to be a fair amount of traffic there. And the driveways possibly, or the parking lots for these two lots to get developed out, being combined. I mean, we do this kind of thing all the time where we have internal connections. I don't know, this just does not feel like the right use for this particular spot. But especially with consideration of the neighbors. And I don't see this as an industrial use either, but I understand that that's a permitted use in our industrial zoning, but in the comprehensive plan, industrial use is suggesting the comp plan doesn't assign uses, it suggests an area.
Correct, but the zoning ordinance does identify uses, and this is a permitted use.
So we're catering to the residential to the east. Is there no requirement for berming or any kind of buffering on the front?
There is a requirement for buffering, but not to the same extent.
So I don't see that on here. Is that something that I'm missing? Is it a different piece? And maybe because it's not as significant, I don't see it. Oh, okay. Actually, I'm seeing
There's still significant plantings along the front.
So just no berm.
Correct.
Only plantings, which is
Correct.
pretty thick, I guess.
Because that, the property is bordered on the north by Taylor Avenue, which is classified as a collector road and requires a level E buffer yard, which the smallest buffer yard required is level A and continues up from there. And so level E is not a small one either, but it's certainly nowhere close to a level K, which you're seeing there on the eastern property line, where this site abuts a residential zoning district.
It's the 3,200 square feet, the footprint,
Yes,
so 20-foot walls. So there's a second floor in this building, is that correct?
And a portion of the rest is more of an open gym type area.
Just trying to think of the volume of traffic that's going to come in and out.
And I may have missed it in here, I apologize. That berming that's going right there, is there anything that shows the effect that it's gonna have on the neighboring property as far as having a berm that tall? And
in
the
fact, meaning,
watershed?
are you thinking of from a drainage standpoint? Again, the DPW reviewed this, they had access to all of this, and stormwater, surface drainage, they reviewed this. They have no problem with what's being proposed.
And then just out of curiosity, should there be an issue once this is done, what sort of rights does the neighbor have?
Well, if properly designed, there should not be an issue. And that's what engineering has looked for.
If not properly maintained, the Plan Commission would have the right to enforce the requirements, because obviously it could erode and not be what it's designed to be. And it's rare, but I've seen that a couple times, so they would have that right, but it is a significant,
It's
going to be
very-
a significant screen, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Which,
I mean, if I was a kid next door, I'd be happy when it snowed, but as a parent, I wouldn't be happy if all the water ran
A lot
out
of
my
obstacles there.
basement.
I bet you were that kid.
I was,
Yeah.
actually.
All right, we need to, is there any questions for the petitioner?
Well, I would simply hope for more than a metal building. But I don't know that I can describe changes to a metal building that would make me happy on the architectural. My only lever would be, I don't think that we should approve this before the property split. But if they go get it, they get the property split by right. So I don't know how much further along I'm getting it other than delaying it.
Could we continue this until the property split, and then they can come back to us and talk to us about what it looks like, and maybe if they added stone around the bottom or something like that?
Yes, you could. I
So-
mean, you could do that.
Yeah, one of my concerns is that if we start following the new comprehensive plan by the time that neighboring lot comes in, that the only thing that's going to likely be proposed, or if we follow the comprehensive plan, is going to be in a state residential lot.
They filed under
Yeah, they got
the old
vesting.
plan.
They've got vesting on 1109. They filed for an approval before it's adopted.
But if they're not, haven't submitted a development plan prior to the new comprehensive plan coming into play
They filed for approval of the development plan, that gives them their right.
for the lot to the west of them?
No, for
The
this
vacant lot.
For
That's
this
what
lot.
I'm talking about the vacant lot to the,
Oh.
that they're creating to the
Oh, we
west of
should-
them. Is that in the future, that may have to go residential
Oh, I see what you're saying.
because of the
Okay.
new comprehensive plan.
Well, it's already zoned to I-2. That entire area out there is zoned into
We can't
I-2
unzone it.
already.
Okay.
So I understand where you're thinking of state residential, but it's already zoned I-2.
But they wouldn't meet the test of development plan approval, which is to follow the comprehensive plan as one of the findings. That's the nuance that I was trying to describe.
Yes, yeah.
All right, we need a motion. Well, first of
we-
all, I'm
we
going to
haven't
close
heard-
the public hearing.
Have we heard, were there any remonstrators or anything?
There was not. And Thomas, is there anybody online that maybe is waiting to speak for or against this project? Okay, thank you. Our unsung hero in the back.
So before we make a motion, what's a timeframe if we were to make a motion to prove what we have here with the bisection or the subdivision, I guess is to the attorney, what's a time frame that you recommend?
I'd say 60 days, and the reason I would say it is I don't know if they have the survey yet, and that could take a little time, but I think that's the date, that's the time period I would use.
After the last petitioner, could be longer, right?
Yeah, they may already have what they need, I don't know,
Can you
so we
speak
can
on that?
ask.
We do have everything lined up. If there was approval on this, that's the next step. So contract has been issued, bearing on this, it's a sign and go, so.
So do you think 60 days is a fair?
That would be a lot longer than what we would hope, so they're ready to go.
Yeah, I got it. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
I make a motion to move that docket number 2026-22-DP, a development plan for a martial arts studio in a 3,200 square foot building on 3.34 plus or minus acres in the rural general industrial I-2 District be conditionally approved based on the findings in the staff report and the staff recommendations. Submitted findings of fact, resolution of the following outstanding review items, a record survey establishing the lot split be provided to the town prior to the issuance of any permits related to this project, submittal of the cut sheets of lighting fixtures for staff approval and prior to the issuance of any permits, resolution of outstanding review items identified in DPW's comments letter be approved, and have the subdivision finalized within 60 days.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, second. Any deliberation? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, roll call? That's fine, we can do that.
Craig Melton,
Yes.
Kendrick Davis,
Aye.
Nick Plopper,
Aye.
Josh Fedor,
Aye.
Jim Hurst,
Aye.
Brad Johnson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving on to 2026-24-DPA, Epcon Communities, the courtyards at Heritage Trail. This is in regards to their amenity center. Roger or Jody, do you have started kickoff for us?
Oh, no, it broke.
Oh.
This is a development plan amendment for an amenity area for Section 1 of the courtyards at Heritage Trail. The courtyards at Heritage Trail was approved, Section 1 was approved, the development plan was approved previously. At that time, the plan commissioner said we would like to see some of the details for the amenity center. So that's what we're here, and this is why it's a development plan amendment. So this proposal, you can see the zoning is PUD, Courtyards of Heritage Trail, and this is the approximate location of the amenity area within Section 1, which is in this area. You can also see, let me see if I scooch up. Oh, thanks, I'm sorry. Technical issues. This is the overall Courtyards at Heritage Trail PUD. This is Section 1 again, and this is the amenity area located within the PUD. So several amenity areas were laid out with the PUD, and this is just the one in Section 1. Well, now let's go next. Sorry. Old boomers, don't know how to use things. The proposal is to develop about 1.6 acres for an amenity area. There has an associated clubhouse with a swimming pool, parking, landscaping, and outdoor activities. The clubhouse is 2,500 square feet, contains a fitness room, restroom, community room. These were all elements that were detailed with the PUD. With the PUD, it also said outdoor activities. In this case, we have pickleball, cornhole, and a community garden area. The building architecture includes both, associated parking, and then sidewalk connections between all of the elements. The landscaping is according to the PUD requirements, and access is often of an internal drive to the subdivision. Go next. The building architecture includes both vertical and horizontal siding with some brick wainscoting, and the building matches the conceptual building design noted in the PUD ordinance. This proposal was considered at the TAC committee. There are no unresolved issues, and staff is recommending unconditional approval. Let's see if so I'm going to go back to this. Sorry, we're switching back and forth. Oh. Maybe. I'm going to go use these things. Okay, try to get, I know.
I've got an updated image I can.
Okay, great. I will stop there and allow the petitioner to present his stuff, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, per our rules and procedures, any questions for staff? All right. Our petitioner is here. Again, just want to let you know, 10-minute time frame. And state your name and address.
My name is Dale Pfeiffer with Epcot Communities, 11711 North Meridian. And I think Jody did an excellent job of an overview. I just wanted to point out a couple of things. Again, overview of the we have three amenity centers in the entire development, sort of divided into thirds, and we're talking about the amenity area on the lower portion of the site here in section 1, which is 93 homes. And the second third will be a lounge area in the middle, and then the third area will be another large format clubhouse in the future, in the last third section of the development. So we talked about the site plan. We did make one change per staff, and that is to sort of redesign our parking area to this elliptical shape, and we like that suggestion, and it provides for better maneuverability and makes for a little bit more architecturally pleasing entryway into the site. And this is what I wanted to share is our updated rendering of the clubhouse. Notice it's four-sided architecture, which means the characteristics of what you see here are carried throughout on all four sides of the building. So happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Dale. Any questions for our petitioner?
A couple comments. One, architecture, thank you, it looks gorgeous, first. Second, is it typical to put the activity centers out at the edge of your developments? And I don't know if there's a requirement by the town of Zionsville or anything, doesn't sound like it. But I guess I was just curious, it seemed like you had, I know the ball fields or whatever up in the corner, on the northwest corner, but then we see this one that's at the southernmost tip there, and it looked like it was kind of at the front entrances to several driveways. That's my only concern. Just curious if that's a typical tactic. I see you do have one in the middle, but that's not really, you said it's a seating area versus pool and.
No, the one in the middle will be a lounge area, so it will think of it as a clubhouse without a pool.
Gotcha, thank you.
And so, but these clubhouses are designed, the large-scale clubhouses are designed to accommodate, roughly 200 to 225 homes. But to answer your question, it was pretty strategic on the first one. We like to have it off one of the main entrances, and we consider that southern first entrance the main entrance of at least the first section, along with it being abutting up to the Whitestown Trail. You can see in blue there that'll be a trail along Whitestown Road, so it'll have that direct connectivity as well. So that's.
Good answer. Thank you.
You're
That's
welcome.
all I have.
Any other questions? All right, do we have any petitioners or any remonstrators, folks that want to speak to the project?
No one signed up to speak.
Perfect, thank you. All right, deliberation. I think my only concern was just a question really, and that's how parking space widths are measured. And then the drive aisle width is 20 feet, the typical that we ask for drive aisles. This is directed to staff, I guess. Do you know if the drive aisles in the parking lot, is that typically 20 feet? Is that what we ask for? Or is there,
Yeah, two-way traffic is typically 24 feet. Parking spaces are 9 by 18 according to our ordinance.
their drive aisle is 20 feet? I'm just concerned that,
Yep.
I like the design, no issues with that, but if you're in that drive aisle trying to get to those inside radius parking spaces, may be tough with a 20-foot wide drive aisle. And if you're okay with it, I guess it doesn't really matter because
Yep, we
it's their
didn't have
problem to
any
deal with versus our
comments
problem.
from fire or Public Works on access, drive aisle width.
And it's because the parking spaces on the inside and outside are not typical rectangles, would you measure the width at the narrowest point? The minimum requirements would be measured there?
We usually take an average, but
Personally, I think that would be tight, but 9 by 18. Dale, do you have any comments on that? It's, again, nice design, love the clubhouse.
ask our-
Location's great, all of that.
Thank you.
Just want you to speak to the maneuvering of parking, cars.
We just
parking in
ask
that
our
lot.
residents to use smaller cars. I mean, I'm kidding.
Golf carts, yeah.
I really don't know the answer to that, other than our engineers really did a deep dive into it and made the changes per Ron Lips's suggestion, and it was engineered that way. But it's a good comment, and we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, just,
Because you're probably right. I mean, I get your comment.
Yeah.
The curvilinear of the radius makes it a little bit different, so
yeah.
we'll check it out.
Any other comments? If not, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion. Oh, you have a comment?
No, I was going to try to beat you to the motion, but go
No,
for it.
I get it. I move the docket number 2026-24-DPA, a development plan amendment for the amenity center for Section 1 of Heritage Trails PUD, be approved based on the findings and the fact of the staff report.
You have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mike, you want to do a roll call?
Craig Melton,
Yeah, aye, excuse me.
Josh Fedor,
Aye.
Brad Johnson,
Aye.
Jim Hurst,
Aye.
Kendrick Davis,
Aye.
Nick Plopper.
Nick recused himself.
Oh, excuse me.
Very good, it's been approved.
Thank you.
All right, next is 2026-25-DP.
So
key-
I'll let Nick know, we're good.
I'm sorry, what?
Do you want to bring Nick back in?
I think Jody's going to get him.
He left. No.
All right, so next up is 2026-25-DP, Keeler Webb Associates Friendly Market Convenience Store and Gas Station. Gonna start off with a staff introduction, brief introduction, and then we'll have well, do we want to look at the technical issues first? Cover that.
Before this case can be heard, Commission needs to be aware that the petitioner's legal notice for publication did not meet the rules of procedure for the Planning Commission of 14 days. It was published 13 days prior to the public hearing. So for the project to be heard tonight, you would need to suspend your rules to permit that.
I'm going to get a little ahead and say that I know that there are some, well, you can confirm for me, Roger, were there some engineering documents dropped to you rather late today?
We received a digital submittal today of revised drawings that were addressing engineering comments. I haven't even had a chance to open up the email yet, but I did see them.
And I believe our rules encourage us to, well, they discourage developers giving us materials late, and it may be a reason for a continuance. I know from the pre-meeting that there are other questions within this that are going to take some cleanup. So I'm front-running any proposed motion to waive our rule in regards to the 14 days, because I think it would be ill-advised in this instance, and run counter to our earlier discussions that we need to ask the developers to live by our rules, meaning the 14-day notice.
Anyone have questions about that? Just.
So we would hear this next month. They would refile, or they would file within the 14-day notice, and then we would hear this next month?
Yes, I
Okay.
think that's what's on the
That's-
table. Just before the meeting, we learned that the 13-day versus 14-day, and also just learned that there were engineering drawings, which maybe are remedies, but no one's had a chance to look at them at all. We have no idea if it's affected anything on the project that we might be considering tonight. We don't know how engineering would respond to them, DPW, so.
And any remonstrator has not had a chance to review them either.
Correct. So, that's kind of the tough situation we're in. I'll speak to just a few things that I came across in my review, and that is just that some of the drawings in what was submitted do not line up with other drawings in what was submitted. And sometimes we are able to ask for those corrections as a part of a motion. But if we're already looking at a continuance, that would give them a chance to get those drawings cleaned up as well, and I could share that with them after tonight's meeting.
Can we get confirmation from Mr. Taylor that it would be appropriate to handle it that way if we're not opening up the meeting?
Yes, I agree. I think that the publication notice creates a problem that again is exactly what you said, Mr. Hurst, it's to provide notice, but also it sets a timetable for anyone who wasn't receiving written notice to begin to prepare for this hearing. And then the late submission, your rules are really clear that you just won't consider them, but you need to consider them. You need to look at those engineering drawings in order to make a decision about a development plan. And so, yeah, I think you should consider a motion to continue.
Forgive me, Mr. Taylor, it was more, would Mr. Johnson be able to suggest things that he needs the petitioner to think about before
Sure,
they come back?
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Without opening
Whether
the meeting.
here or later, yeah, either one.
I mean, I am still of the firm stance and belief that when your stuff is due, it is due, and there's that 14-day period. If anything comes in after that period, that we shouldn't hear, it should be an automatic continuance, because that's, nobody's had the time to review it. So I am very firm on that period.
I'm going to argue with you, Mr. Davis, just on the automatic continuance, because sometimes because you hand something late, it doesn't mean you get a continuance, it just doesn't get considered.
Yeah.
which I don't think is appropriate here.
Are we going to require refiling notice with adjoining landowners?
That's generally not required because people have been given notice of this meeting, and this action taken at this meeting gives them proper notice. Roger, do you agree with that? That's why I read your rules.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good question, though.
So we need a motion?
Would the Plan Commission like the petitioner to respond to any of those items? Just for clarity of motion, perhaps?
I think that just the two factual matters is enough, and I mean, we have staff saying that engineering drawings came in today, we haven't had a chance to look at them, and the 14-day item was not met. Unless you have proof that it was met, I mean, that would be the only thing that I think we would be willing to hear. And if it wasn't, then I think we just don't have a choice.
The notice was submitted to the newspaper timely based off of the newspaper's required prior notice, but then ultimately the newspaper did not publish on the 14-day requirement. They published on the 13-day requirement. So it was submitted to the newspaper timely. It was not published timely. It meets the Indiana statute, but it does not meet the local ordinance. So that addresses the first item. The second item is, while engineering drawings were submitted today, they are in response to the engineering department's letter dated June 10th. So it is in response to a letter just received approximately 5 days ago. So while it was not submitted at timely with the last deadline imposed upon the petitioner, it was submitted as quickly as possible after receipt from the engineering department. So just some clarifications there. Thank you.
Yeah. The situation that just puts us in, though, is we don't have a revised report from staff, from DPW. We don't even know what substantively changed at all. We just have to do our due diligence and make sure that we are looking at kind of the final proposal before taking any actions. I mean, that's just how we all feel, I think. I'm not hearing anything otherwise tonight.
We use the Lebanon Reporter for our public notice. Is that the,
Petitioners are given two options, either the Lebanon Reporter or the Indianapolis Star.
okay.
For the folks that came out tonight, I know it's probably, you've been sitting here quite a while. We apologize. We can't vote on this until the item comes up on the agenda. So, I mean, I wish we could have given you some heads up. I don't even know how the vote will go still, but just apologize for your time. Looks like we may be looking at a meeting next month instead.
Just for clarity for my sake, would it have been better for the petitioner to have not answered a letter after the 14 days than to have answered it in a timely fashion?
Meaning the resubmittal that was received today, actually, yes.
Commissioner Davis, so the staff offers in your staff report a variety of potential motions. One of those motions is a conditional approval conditioned upon ultimate response and satisfaction of engineering comments. The submittal today was in response to some of those engineering comments, acknowledging President Johnson's comments that they may ultimately impact other elements of the development plan. That is always true in that this Plan Commission has approved countless petitions that are conditioned upon ultimate reaction, edits, revisions based off of outstanding engineering comments. We submitted those prior to tonight's hearing, given bandwidth and ability to do so. I appreciate your comment. I would agree with your comment that knowing what I know at this moment, perhaps we would have withheld those and said, we will address those with Roger, Jody, and the rest of the town staff after tonight's vote. So if I haven't made it abundantly clear, I'd ask for the Plan Commission to hear tonight's meeting, particularly given the residents of Holiday Farms have spent the last 2.5 hours here. 1.5 hours.
Any deliberation or consideration of that? I think that, I mean, one thing that I'm hearing, and I've been hearing this for a couple of months now, is that just less tolerance for some of the loose following of rules. I mean, we talked about keeping people to the timeframes of presenting their time, or presenting their case, or remonstrators, all of that. We've been really honing in on trying to follow the rules and not let things slip, not being so loose. And so there has been some history of us being more amenable to that, but we've got huge dockets every month, and it would be nice for the projects to be fully ready to be considered.
Back to the public notice, did you guys use the Indianapolis Star or Lebanon Reporter?
In this instance, we use the Indianapolis Star. When we received notice and to coordinate it, the Lebanon reporter needed some additional days, additional days to print due to the Memorial Day holiday. Indianapolis Star needed 2 days.
The Lebanon Reporter is no longer a daily newspaper. It's only 3 times a week, I think.
They needed, I think, 9 days additional notice that we couldn't afford. Ultimately, neither were able to meet the 14-day.
All right, I guess we need a motion.
Let me get to the right page. I move that docket number 2026-25 DP, a development plan for convenience store and gas station on Lot L of Section 7 of Holiday Farms, be continued to the July 20th, 2026 Plan Commission meeting to correct any deficiencies.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion, deliberation?
We're just pointing out the difference between, the previous petition where the petitioner didn't really have any additional information to share with us and was seeking a continuance. This is the opposite scenario where they have reacted to comments from engineering and they have information to share with us and they probably would be willing to make commitments. So I'm persuaded by Mr. Russell-Tarrett's arguments that if they're here and they're ready to present on this new information that they've reacted to from the June 10th letter, we've got numerous people from the public here. I'm inclined to hear it.
All right, any other conversation? Sir, we have to first decide whether or not they meet the test of being able to even be heard tonight. That's what we're trying to do first. Craig, any thoughts?
I'm inclined to not second. We have a first and a second already?
Yeah.
I'm inclined not to vote with this, so, yeah, that's all. I'd rather hear it at this point. Everybody's here, but I would suggest the vote.
All right, Mike, roll call vote.
Okay, this is a motion to continue. Jim Hurst.
Aye.
Nick Plopper.
Nay.
Kendrick Davis.
Aye.
Josh Fedor.
Nay.
Craig Melton.
Nay.
Brad Johnson.
Aye. We're stuck again.
That's 3.
All right, so if we set aside the engineering that was 3-3, yeah. If we set aside the engineering and, have no penalty for that and just go ahead and hear it for that particular case, I understand that. I think we need to clarify in the future, what can or should be submitted at the last minute. And if it's more than we can digest or more than staff can digest, I mean, there is some cause for concern, in my opinion. In regards to the 13 days versus 14 days, I'd like Dan to just kind of speak to that, his legal, concerns or even thumbs up that it's okay. And then the third piece is what I hadn't yet really covered, is that just some of these discrepancies in the project. We might be able to get them to, answer them and also to commit to remedy all of these. I don't know, but there are at least some that are of concern. So Dan, do you want to speak to the 13 days versus 14 days?
What I'll say about that is the law requires 10 days. A couple years ago, the commission decided that it wanted to provide the public with more notice in recognition, as I recall from the discussion, that people are busy. They may not be home. They may not get their notices. They may not have 10 days to prepare. They wanted people who are in the community to have the right to be adequately prepared for their statements. So the Plan Commission adopted a more stringent rule in law, saying you have to publish 14 days, not 10 days. And so, again, I would say, my advice would always be to follow your own rules. That's your rule. It's not state law, it's more stringent. And if you don't follow your own rule, then, again, the parties who are harmed are those who it's designed to protect, which is the public. So that's my thought.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah.
So my response is, if it's a public notice that we're worried about, and the public's definitely here. You're right, not all of them, but that's my.
And Commissioner, Counselor Melton,
Yes,
it
sir.
also is a remonstrator's ability to have the time to prepare, which is also built into the notice. And I understand we're talking about a day. It's not that I don't see people's point, but in a world where we are going to be more insistent that we're living by the rules, this is a rule we have.
And I would say also that no one in the public has seen the engineered drawings that were submitted today. They don't have a chance to view those. They don't have a chance to express to you how that affects their opinion. They just don't have that opportunity. There are cases, again, part of the reason what I say is that there are cases that say that in making decisions regarding what is submitted and how it's reviewed, not only does your staff need to review it, but people who wish to speak one way or the other have no opportunity to do so. Again, when it comes to a continuance or how you deal with your cases, you have discretion as a Plan Commission. You can do what you want. But do I have concerns? Yeah, I think you should always follow your own rules. I think if you don't follow your own rules, you're asking for trouble, and you're also defeating the very purpose for the rule. And then late submissions worry me because people who are very concerned, and it appears they are, don't have all the information they might want. They might not care at all about those plans, I can't say, nor could they because they don't know what's contained in them, but.
So, and I agree with what you're saying, and I'm obviously seconding the motion of Jim, just to make sure what the petitioner submitted today digitally, we haven't had a chance to look at. If we would have conditionally approved this today, am I understanding right, we wouldn't have even seen that those things were met for what they submitted? Would that be correct? Because it would be contingent upon them having satisfied those requirements.
Correct. As what I understand was submitted today, which again, I have not opened yet, but I believe it was revised materials in response to the DPW comment letter, which is provided in the staff report as Exhibit 7. So they were truly trying to respond to that in preparation of maybe even getting rid of that item as a conditional part of the motion. So if they had not submitted those materials today, the motion and everything that's being presented to you is what it is. We would just then possibly be receiving these same materials tomorrow in response to Exhibit 7.
Roger, doesn't staff, even outside the planning staff, have to then review, DPW has to review the
Yes.
the drawings, and they would then give information? I mean, it's not as if it's automatically okay, right?
No, you are correct.
Okay.
Because again, the motion, or the item within the proposed motion was to respond to the items noted in DPW comment Exhibit 7. And again, as I'm guessing, the drawings and materials that were submitted today are to answer the questions that are outlined in Exhibit 7. But again, I haven't looked at them. DPW has not looked at them, so I don't know.
It was also, I understand that DPW was okay with the project proceeding, subject to resolution of these issues at a later time.
That is correct.
But we don't know what's in the engineering. And so what our rules say on docketing and C is the commission shall not consider new information presented for the first time during the commission meeting. And we don't have, it doesn't say that people can't provide new information. It just means we're not to consider it. But
Correct, and so what you could be considering tonight are the drawings that's been presented to you in the staff report and attached as exhibits, as well as Exhibit 7 from DPW, which is a response to those same drawings.
All right, so well, I think we have to have a motion to suspend our rules on the 13 days, is that correct? So
unless someone wants to hear another motion.
is there a unanimous, what's the requirement there? Just a majority, or is it all of us? Because majority? All right, so to even be able to move forward on the 13 days, we have to have a motion. And from what I've been told is that we've only done that once in the past. So,
Relatively recently, haven't we?
Last month.
Last month, in my
Okay,
memory.
thank you. That's
Yes,
why I'm sitting here going.
Yeah, and I didn't like it then.
Okay.
Theoretically, if we never saw what was submitted today, we hear the petition, we deliberate, we could come up on our own and put the same conditions on the petitioner. We could arrive at the same result. I haven't seen what was submitted today. And we might deliberate about these comments from engineering and determine as a body they're de minimis. They're not material to the project as a whole. Others could disagree with that, but I just think it's a monumental waste of time if we're going to continue this for 30 days. I'm inclined to make the motion to suspend the rules. So I move to suspend the rules so that we can hear this petition.
all right, it's been moved. We have a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
The only discussion is, if this ends up at 3-3, what then?
Too bad Nikki's not here. All right, no other conversation about it, Mike?
Call for the vote.
So
Nick?
just clarify, if you're voting aye, it's to suspend the rules, correct?
Correct, yes, the motion to suspend the rules. Nick Plopper.
Aye.
Craig Melton.
Aye.
Brad Johnson.
Nay.
Jim Hurst.
Nay.
Josh Fedor.
Aye.
Kendrick Davis.
Nay.
Split 3.
Plan Commission, petitioner would request a 30-day continuance next month. We appreciate the public's attendance, certainly appreciate the dialogue you've had this evening, but don't want to put the Plan Commission into a spot where you feel as though you're making a vote on a petition where you don't have as the full extent of the information, and certainly welcome any feedback you have between now and next month so that we can make sure that the Plan Commission is in the best position to vote next month. Hopefully, we can get to that point as opposed to a dialogue next month and another vote. But if the Plan Commission would oblige, we would be agreeable to a continuance.
Roger, you looked like you wanted something to say.
I was going to have a comment to the general public, but I don't want to interrupt yours.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I've already interrupted. Should this be continued to next month, first of all, I want to thank all of the public who have submitted letters of interest. You would not need to resubmit a new letter if it's being continued. Just letting you know, you do not have to. You do not have to.
All right, any other comments?
Well, I just
We have
hope
to-
that we're.
we have to vote
We're
on-
setting a precedence that our rules are going to be our rules. If we need to clarify any rules, if staff sees any rules we need to clarify, if we need to, but if we are going to draw a line in the sand, and be steadfast to them, out of disrespect tonight to everybody that showed up, that we continue to stay, steadfast with those rules, so.
We need a motion to continue the meeting.
So
Continue the-
moved.
All right, it's been moved by Josh.
Second.
It's been seconded by Craig. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, I'm sorry. Attorney is asking us for a roll call vote. So Mike,
Clarification, no notice.
that's,
No notice.
With
No
no new notice.
excuse me.
This is a motion to continue. Brad Johnson.
aye.
Craig Melton.
Aye.
Jim Hurst.
Aye.
Josh Fedor.
Aye.
Kendrick Davis.
Aye.
Nick Plopper.
Aye.
The matter is continued to the July 20 hearing.
We'll take that into consideration. Yes. So anyone, do you want to take a stretch break? Will that help you? And we've got our consultant here. Do you want to step up?
And you thought they were here to see you?
No, I was warned.
Welcome again.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Adam Pieper, community planner with HWC Engineering, 135 North Pennsylvania Street, Indianapolis, Indiana. Here tonight to present the updated draft of the comprehensive plan as approved by the town council. Just in terms of a little process refresher, we were before you originally in November of last year to open the hearing. That was continued to your December meeting where you forwarded a favorable recommendation to the council. The council ultimately continued that through January immediately. So we first presented at the town council meeting in February. At that time, it was discussed to schedule a work session, a special work session to review council comments, questions, and concerns regarding the plan. With spring break and some other things, that didn't happen until April. Ultimately, we didn't get through everything in that first work session, so there was a second work session towards the end of April. And then we were before the council at their regular meetings
both of the May meetings, May 4th and May 18th, where they ultimately forwarded, or approved the comprehensive plan based on a series of amendments. I believe both the clean, updated draft and that itemized list of amendments was forwarded to you by Roger shortly after your May meeting. And then just briefly, to answer the question of, but why am I here? If you want to go to the next slide, Roger. Indiana Code, the 500 series applies to comprehensive plans. And what that says is following legislative rejection or amendment, so town council amendment, it is returned to the Plan Commission for your consideration, since you gave a favorable recommendation, but now it's been changed. If you would ultimately approve the amendments, it's done. If you would reject the amendments, then it goes back to the town council, and they could either say, okay, Plan Commission, you're right, or no, we still feel very strongly about that, and then they would have to confirm through another resolution those amendments that they made. In the interest of brevity, I will not go through all of them. I did highlight just a few that I think are the more substantive or substantial with respect to change in policy. There are several changes to the future land use map, which I have on the next slide. The land use classifications that detail or correspond to each of those areas on the map did have a recommended or potential gross density or non-residential intensity. We ultimately removed those. There were some changes to some of the primary and secondary uses. Most specifically, apartments were removed from a permitted secondary use within the regional activity centers. We added some objectives based on council and some other public comment, I think, that came in late. One was regarding commercial solar and wind energy facilities and an interest in limiting those. Another was specific to lighting standards to promote dark sky compliant and other efforts to protect habitat. There was one minor change on the future thoroughfare map. Starkey Road was downgraded in functional classification from major collector to minor collector. With respect to the 4 focus areas, the one for the area south of the Village Business District, so south of the creek, there was concern that that was still a little too prescriptive, and the council felt that after considering the South Village plan, that really the takeaway or the consensus from the community was evaluate things on a case-by-case basis. So ultimately what we did was removed a lot of the specific land use language and just kind of more generally identified potential redevelopment areas. We also removed some of the kind of character standard suggestions and the bird's eye sketch that went with that. Finally, we added some short-term actions in the implementation section with respect to those objectives that I referenced earlier, so the wind and solar energy systems. There was some reference in a couple places in the plan about accessory dwelling units, and the council just felt like rather than advocating a specific position, the intent is to kind of, as a key next step, develop an ADU or accessory dwelling unit policy. There are additional typographical corrections, some other word choice edits, acknowledging words have meanings, but I'm not going to go through all of those. I think for the most part, there are a lot of instances where someone, you know, this needs to be cleaned up, this could be a little tighter, could we explain this better? So we tried to address all those comments while keeping the original intent. So just real quick, specific to the future land use map, I've outlined the areas in magenta that changed since you last saw this. So on the kind of central west side of town there, 2 changes from conventional subdivision to rural and estate residential, where Roger, and then that larger block to the south was mixed residential that had a activity center in the center of it, so that has all been changed to conventional subdivision. On the US 421 corridor, southeast corner of the 421 and 200 South intersection. That was a mixed residential area that came into that. So that has been changed. There is commercial along the 421 frontage that is kind of obscured by the magenta, so I apologize about that. But then transitioning to conventional subdivision and estate residential further to the east. And then up near the northwest corner of 421 and State Road 32, that area that is office and innovation had included the potential for some mixed residential development in there, but the interest was to really prioritize and promote non-residential development along State Road 32. So I'll stop there, but I am happy to answer any questions or explain any other of the amendments that were shared in that list.
Say it was along State Road 32. Was there talk about it just staying north of State Road 32? Is there, what was discussed as far as how far west it extended?
We did not change the extent to the west. So actually what it was closer to the intersection. We had the office and innovation and the mixed residential kind of hatched as an opportunity for either, or depending on kind of market demand, absorption. Ideally, you know, I think everyone has said we'd like to see the area closer to the airport develop first, as well as the activity center there at the southeast corner. A little tougher to predict what may happen further west, but ultimately that area, like I said, closer to the intersection was office innovation or mixed residential, and then further to the west was office and innovation and a neighborhood activity center. So the neighborhood activity center came out and the potential for residential came out.
How do you foresee, we're just trying to apply to this plan.
Mm-hmm.
If we see, so OI is that office
and innovation.
And innovation.
Yeah.
Is that going to go well, being right across the street from the Carpenter Nature Preserve? Is that like, did you guys have any conversations as far as that buffering, like what that looks like? Is that something that, you know?
I will say in conversations with the council, I don't think we specifically got into how that interacts with Carpenter Nature Preserve. I mean, I think 32 in and of itself is a substantial corridor, so kind of creates a division point. I know that's not a great answer. I think in short, I would say we didn't get into specifics of how that access or buffering would work.
Okay. And so just so I can see the vision coming from, 1200 on 32 west, we have office innovation on the north side, that green space because of obviously ending. And then to the west of that, we have
rural and estate residential because of the existing development pattern. There are a number of homes in that area.
Okay. And then merging that west.
Yeah.
What's the thought?
Again, so creating additional opportunities for non-residential development along the 32 corridor. It could be office. It could be more in line with the activity center closer to the intersection, which does allow for a broader mix of retail uses as well as some secondary or supporting residential use within the activity center.
Okay. So then we have that estate housing, right? And then we have kind of the commercial along 32.
Yeah.
We're showing north of that is a mixed residential. Is that like that stacking there?
Yeah, up to that east-west green line is the Midland Trace corridor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and that will continue to extend that mixed residential, which we're talking mixed residential is townhomes.
Could potentially be townhomes.
Heavier density.
Yeah,
housing.
not, Not apartments, but yeah, townhome, single-family attached product, or single-family detached homes, but on more compact lots. Part of that mixed residential area right now is the mobile home park there, just south of the Midland Trace, north of the creek, right where Roger is panning over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome back, I've missed you.
Yes,
It's been a
nice
while.
to see you.
Sorry, did that sound like commentary?
Well, yeah.
The changes that have brought back to us that aren't textual changes, the map changes, is it fair to characterize those changes as lowering the density?
For the most part, certainly on those three to the west, yes. The others aren't necessarily a lowering of density because we, potentially removing some residential and increasing the area that would be non-residential. It's more of an intensity or use change than purely density.
Okay.
I will also say, and I know this wasn't your question, I think for the most part, certainly the three areas on the west and as well the area along 32, all of these were areas I think we debated as part of steering committee conversations. We received diverse public input as part of them. I think we may have even talked about some of them with you all through the hearing process. So
That is all true.
yeah.
Yeah. Was there any conversation, was anything raised on Perry Township and adjusting any of the planned increased density in Perry Township?
We did discuss with the council the potential to remove the regional activity center that would be at Whitestown Parkway and State Road 267. That discussion kind of went back and forth, but then ultimately council direction was to keep it as is. I do not believe there was any other council provided direction regarding that area.
That is one of the challenges of an actually rural part of Zionsville is there aren't a lot of voices to speak up for it. I think the Plan Commission should be proud of the plan that they put together. I don't have a lot of objection, probably don't really have any objection to the non-Perry changes that were made to the zoning, but I guess I just would wish that Perry Township was a little louder about their desire for less density than's represented on this map.
And then going along that lines, I've noticed when in this one, it used to have in here, as far as like mixed residential, et cetera, a certain density range.
Yes.
And you removed that.
Yes.
What was the reasoning for removing kind of the guardrails of density?
I believe the concern was that it would be perceived as like an automatic green light to the maximum of that. And we do have other language in the plan about, interest in reviewing projects, future projects with respect both to gross density, but also net once undeveloped areas are removed. But the fear being, again, there could be a property that has a large undevelopable area, but if the gross density, those ranges that were in there, someone would immediately try to seek approval for the maximum.
Just looking for a comment or just an answer to 300 South is showing as a principal arterial, which is the highest of the two.
Yes.
Whereas 32 is showing as a minor arterial. It just seems like that's flip-flopped, or maybe one should be, maybe they both should be major, I don't know. So that was just a comment, like trying to figure out why that maybe is. I don't think of 300 South as being a bigger road than 32.
The,
Well, not yet, you're right.
Yet, but it's 4 lanes all the way up to a 4-mile section between Whitestown and 421, so.
Just thinking,
That might be
wouldn't we want to encourage 32 to be a major highway, though?
It-
Yeah.
If I may, we do have some line weight differences with regard to the network on the future land use map, but the future thoroughfare map is on page 143, and State Road 32 is classified as a principal arterial.
I'm sorry, I'm on page 129, so I misunderstood that map.
129, maybe, okay.
Yep, that might be a typo.
129, yeah, is the existing functional classification as recognized by NDOT. And yes, 32 is a lower classification. My understanding is the county actually petitioned NDOT and ultimately FHWA to increase the classification of 300 South after their last thoroughfare planning process.
Glad I asked. I just,
That's like Ronald Reagan, right? That's
At
the-
one time, that was the talk, that was gonna be the Ronald Reagan at one time, correct?
Yeah, so the,
piece up to 65 was, I didn't know if that wrapped around.
It's supposed to go to 146
Oh,
all
was
the way
it?
to
Yes.
Loya
Okay.
Road on Fisher's side.
yeah, I don't know if it was to actually be named Ronald Reagan, but yeah, the improvements that Whitestown is planning does kind of create a prioritized flow from where a future Ronald Reagan would connect into 267 and ultimately 65, and then continue east, curving up north to 300 South, and then connecting over to the east to Hamilton County.
All right, well, 143 makes a whole lot more sense, thank you.
So, I watched town council meetings, I listened to them deliberate quite a bit of this. A few concerns I have, and thank you, you've done a great job. I remember when we first started this process, you asked us what we wanted. I wanted continuity throughout the plan because we had Boone County that, parts of the Worth Township and Perry were outward growth from Lebanon. We've done a great job of consolidating all that. I'm with Jim on that. I was very comfortable with the file that we sent to town council. But I am concerned about that western area where you want to do lesser density area, when my concern from the get-go on this was to have some continuity with our neighboring communities. Why Whitestown is in a massive growth area through that area. In fact, they've already gone north of that to some of the area we have. Ag currently has 174 homes coming in across the street. To kind of put our heads in the sand and say, well, we don't want that level of development, we'll just try to lower it, isn't what I was hoping to see out of this plan. And for town council to throw it back to us and say they want to see less dense area in one of the more densely populated areas of our community, I had trouble with. And the whole 200 and 421, we've all sat here and listened to several petitions on those properties there. I feel like that's just people going after that area and just trying to stop anything from coming in there. Those are my biggest concerns. Now, the other one I heard at town council, I want to make sure I heard it right. The plan discourages major developments in agricultural property. Or am I wrong in hearing that? Somewhere, I think I heard town council there was a discouragement of large housing developments in agricultural property, or in the ag zoned area. So if you own 100 acres and you want to put in 10 acre lots, this plan discourages that. That's low density. That's the density I think we want, so that some of that we're trying to encourage a little bit. But it sounds like this plan discourages even that from happening. So then you end up having people coming in, splitting stuff, doing minor platting it down. I think, I struggle with that. If somebody comes in and says they want to put five lots on a large parcel, I want to be welcoming to that, not a plan that discourages it,
I take your point.
so. Other than that, the plan's great. You guys have worked your butts off on it. You've got a tremendous amount of responses from it. I've talked to people at the county level because the county's trying to go through their plan. I think you had more people show up at one meeting than they have through their entire process. So I think it's great. We've got a tremendous amount of community input. You digested it. You came up with a plan we felt comfortable with. I'm not totally comfortable sold on some of the changes town council sent back to us, so.
The only thing else that kind of looks off a little bit, and that is the adjacency of estate residential to two of our major east-west corridors. So the stuff that's on the 32 corridor on the south, like living across the street from 32 and an office park development just seems like too much of a conflict there. Personally, I'm just wondering if that 32 corridor is also a place where Zionsville might be able to capture some additional commercial development. And granted, it would have to be done very sensitively to transition from office to 32 to parks and recreation and other estate residential, but I just feel like there's an opportunity there. Not necessarily the whole corridor. Like, I don't like strip development, but there seems to be an opportunity there that maybe we're missing. And then also the 300 corridor, same thing as, I wouldn't want that in my backyard, but I think a lot of people are going to fight us on the expansion of that, but yeah, those just seem off a little bit. But overall, I mean, I think we're in a really good shape.
I would just thank the council for their hard and thoughtful work on really taking their time on this document. And we've been hamstrung for a long time without putting this into action. I think some of the looseness that was referenced earlier is because of that. The only question I had, I guess, was around there's a couple deletions of neighborhood activity centers. So I just want to understand a little bit more about that. There's still some designated sections on the map for neighborhood activity centers. I just want to, if you could comment briefly on what those deletions really were about and where they're located, and maybe direct me to where that zone still exists.
Yeah. The deletions that occurred, so one was on that 800 East corridor, basically between 300 and 400 South. So, yeah, right in the middle of there. The concern was generally regarding transportation, lack of insufficient transportation infrastructure and lack of utility infrastructure. And I feel like a sense that there is or will be a substantial amount of commercial development in Whitestown, not too far away. The other was on the 32 corridor, which admittedly had been a little bit of, actually two on the 32 corridor, excuse me. One on the far western edge of town, just a little bit west of that, actually, Roger, right there. Because of transportation plans in Whitestown, again, that which I think is that 600? Yeah, I think the plan is ultimately for 600 to be improved and connect up there. So at one point we were kind of looking at that as a potential node along 32. And then we had another one kind of in between, halfway in between there and the 32 and 421 intersection. That ultimately got shifted a little to the east within what is now that office and innovation area. And then the sense was we don't need to differentiate between the neighborhood activity center and the office and innovation. The preference would just be all office. That also does allow some supporting commercial or retail uses as a secondary use. Where they still exist in terms of on the map, obviously there's the large regional activity center at the southeast corner of 32 and 421, as well as a smaller area on the northwest corner there. Not an activity center, but we did include some commercial area, like I said, along the east side of 421, just south of 200 there. And then there is the potential for the future activity center on the west side of town in Perry Township. The village and area south of the creek is also identified as activity center, so some opportunity for additional office, employment, commercial development in there. I think what we heard through this process was, and we were trying to be cognizant to not strip out every arterial corridor with commercial or industrial development. At the same time, we definitely heard a need to grow the town's tax base through non-residential uses. So trying to strike that balance is what we've tried to do. Like I said, it admittedly has been a bit of a moving target, and I think certainly there are more opportunities for it now or with this map than what your current comprehensive plan would allow. Ultimately, I think it's something that will continue to be a focus for the community.
When it says around page 13, that talks about the hold housing development to a high standard, kind of that column. The town should strategically manage new housing development until progress is made towards a more balanced tax base. And there's some other kind of text in here that talks about slowing down kind of the major subdivisions, it sounds like.
Yeah.
What does that do for us, against us? Like, is this something now when if a big subdivision comes before us and, does the comp plan now say, yeah, I can go here, but we also kind of don't want it until we see more commercial? Like, how do we use that to, it seems like that allows there to be kind of some ebb and flow of just subjectivity there. So who makes that ultimate determination?
You make a recommendation to the town council, and they ultimately make that determination, right? Yeah, no.
The assistant manager or the assistant to the manager.
Yes, we want to be very careful to not say no housing until you get your commercial land use percentage up to this amount, or your non-residential tax base is this percentage of your overall tax base. So being careful to say no more residential. At the same time, I think, yeah, you summed it up well, and that we heard concerns about the pace of development. One of the things the council did request that we added to the plan was an approximate accounting of approved but yet to be constructed units, which is in the thousands. I forget exactly what it is. So
it's like 2,600 or something.
Again, an understanding or an interest in seeing some of that development come online, be absorbed, see what that does to the transportation network. Also acknowledging, again, there aren't too many prime development areas that are served with utilities at present, and that certainly has been an evolving conversation over the course of the last 2 years in this process, and before that, and I know will continue. So is, again, one of those areas where we're trying to balance that predictability versus flexibility. We wanted to include some flexibility in the plan, but also incorporate, I think, what we heard from a number in the community and leadership as well.
That starts to get to be a little hard now, you know, with any major subdivision at whatever density, you know, people don't like. The intent of the comp plan was to not allow that to happen, but by what mechanism and until when? You know, is there a certain percentage tax base increase that is the healthiest? Is there, you know, so like kind of, to me, it almost boils down to, you know, okay, who's the adult in the room is going to say it's, you know, we need an X% increase in certain tax revenues before, you know, we even will hear of a certain size density development or, you know, so I guess I'm trying to understand for sure the intent behind removing the density that was kind of guardrailed in those specific residential developments, and B, still try to make Zionsville a place that, you know, developers can understand how to play in our sandbox when they get here, you know. So I guess that's my really, the biggest question I have with this is there some type of guidance from somewhere that allows us to actually look at these projects, you know, on not a don't build in my backyard phase, but on something of no, hey, our comp plan is showing us that yes, we would like to have this type of development, but before we do that, we need to wait 3 years and we need to see a certain percentage. And I know that's not your job specifically, but is there some guidance there maybe?
Well, we do have, with respect to the implementation and some of the action items, are advocating for more of a fiscal analysis as part of the development review. And I think that also gets into the density question too. Like we can talk about average assessed value of a home in a development, but depending on what the lot size are or how many units that is a huge impact, right? So I think, again, it is, the plan gets to some of that. It does still take some interpretation and additional review on your part. Corey, what are you going to say?
Corey Weitzel with HWC. I think the other thing I would say to your question is the plan also says very specifically that we've tried to strike that balance with this land use map. So if we've identified something as employment, that's to try to reserve that area for that employment. What we're trying to do is keep that from a residential thing from being proposed in those areas. You're benchmarking areas in Perry Township, for example, to say, hey, we don't want to go across these lines. It doesn't mean that you don't want residential to occur in other places where you've identified residential, but it does try to say we need to preserve these areas for commercial and employment uses, and that's what you really got to safeguard very carefully on this thing. Yes, there's areas shown for residential, and we're not saying don't do that, as much as we're really looking at protecting those areas for non-residential development, and your land use map is that tool. You may have to adjust that over time, and that's part of the reason it's a little bit of loose language, is that in 5 years or in 2 years, you know, if all you get is residential and it's pushing towards those employment areas, and it's going to make it harder to actually put in employment uses, you're going to have to really look at the pace of residential in those areas and try to manage and protect those areas for the employment. So that map really becomes a key tool for you.
Okay, and then do you see, just historically, you guys have looked at the numbers in Zionsville, the growth in Zionsville, especially on the residential side. I think that's what's pushing this. And obviously, you know, I was at almost every meeting, you know, and everybody said, you know, we need a more balanced tax base. So as you see the number of houses in the pipeline, right, that you've kind of quoted in here, historically with Zionsville and our growth and what we're looking at now versus other places, does there become some type of metric of, hey, once you've increased your residential number of homes by 3,000, right, it's healthy to see a certain percentage increase on the commercial side before you get, you know, way out of hand on one side. So say, okay, you've hit 3,000 and that's the number, right? It's best to let that kind of simmer a little bit for 2 years, 3 years to allow infrastructure and commercial. Like, is that something that you guys have looked at in the past, or is there like a good practice as far as that goes to see what those impacts are, about how long it takes to kind of feel?
Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, the infrastructure will definitely be a limiting factor there. And I mean, the cliche is certainly that, you know, retail is going to follow rooftops. So again, to Corey's point of protecting the areas that are appropriate or ideal for that, so that you don't add 3,000 houses. And now it's, okay, we can support another grocery store. We have nowhere to put one.
And do you see about what is that lagging kind of the retail behind the rooftops? Is there an Indiana standard, like when you see a mix kind of like we are, is there?
It is all over the place.
Okay.
It is all over the place. Sometimes, I'm in Hendricks County and I'm seeing it being 10 years sometimes before some of those places are just permitting a grocery store near a bunch of rooftops. So it can lag. Here, I think it will be faster, but again, you just got to continue to monitor it, but there's not a direct parallel there that with a case study for your speed of development of exactly what that is. I'm not aware of any case studies that really document that to the point I would trust applying it to your situation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's really like the free market, right? So the free market pushes that, and then if the real estate exists, then it gets proposed, and then the planning commission sees it, then the council would see it, and then, you know, and then that's, I mean, but it seems like Kroger knows.
Yeah, right.
But if you don't reserve it, it's hard for them to even get in here
And
at some point, yeah. If it gets gobbled up by residential, then you lose that opportunity for commercial transition. The intersection of 32 and 421, that tiny corner on the northwest corner,
Yeah.
shows as a neighborhood activity center.
It should be regional. I think it's kind of under a drop shadow.
Okay.
It's the same as Catty Corner.
Okay, so that's regional?
Yes.
Okay, that makes more sense. Two major intersections doesn't sound like a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, just Wild Air on Oak Street, there's a 30-acre park as a part of that. I think it's in that bottom left corner. We should probably show that on there, is just, because I think maps like this really help the public see the distribution of parks. And it's a big enough one, not just a little pocket park, that would be worth adding to the map. You agree?
Yeah, I mean, is that an oversight?
Yeah, probably on our part. I guess, was that dedicated to Zionsville Parks through the Wild Air development process?
It is. I think it is public park.
Okay.
It's the intent.
It's like 30 acre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
20 or, was it 20 or?
It's a
30?
decent chunk.
Yeah, 30 sounded right. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's right in that area, I believe.
Maybe we should.
It's a wooded, mostly wooded area, too.
I think there's a walking path in there, so
Is there now?
Well, maybe
They're developing one. The Parks is going to develop a walking path through it.
and that's Zionsville Park? Okay, so it was dedicated.
Yeah.
I got one more comment on the 421 200 South area there. We're wanting the commercial development to match the overlay district of 400 feet.
Correct.
We were just talking about earlier tonight about potentially having a lot that wouldn't be too usable because of the 400, or because of the overlay district. Is 400 feet enough square foot, or marketable as commercial? Or I mean, is it even usable as commercial, I should say? Do our standards with setbacks and parking requirements and everything prohibit that from being even used?
I would note that with the Michigan Road overlay, it reads that if any portion of a parcel is within the Michigan Road overlay, the entire parcel is then subject to the Michigan Road standards. So the 400 foot is not a boundary
Okay.
that stops.
I misunderstood it. It says along 421 to the depth of 400 feet to match the overlay district. So if the parcel is in that 400 foot, it,
Higher parcel is
In
then
okay,
subject to the
okay.
Michigan Road Overlay Standards.
I don't know if that needs to be reflected in the comp plan, but it would possibly be helpful information.
like I said, I was just concerned if we were pigeon-toeing property through there that could never be used.
If you look just to the south of 300 and the shops at Appaloosa, that's about the same depth there. So where we have the strip center that has the Uncle Bill's, there's the Culver's.
Going to be car wash, et cetera, yeah.
I know we're going to probably be seeing a project on the northwest corner of that intersection. There's interest in that going commercial, so I'm glad to see this not commercial there.
And going back to the wild there, there's a 10-acre park that was donated. So it's a 10-acre civic parcel.
Well, I mean, I have mixed feelings about that intersection. If we've got commercial going on the northeast and the southeast, you know, should we be considering that being a cluster and having commercial on all four corners or three corners? I don't know. Was that talked about at all at council?
I'm sorry, I missed it.
I mean, we've got Appaloosa Crossing, and then on the north side, there's also commercial. I know this is coming in, they're going to be asking for a rezoning for commercial. Was there a conversation about that at all?
Well, I think he alluded to the point about how commercial.
Because commercial and estate residential don't usually go real well together. Just wondering if that's I don't know.
I think they tiptoed around the commercial. I mean, that's really what it boils down to, right? I mean, what'd you say earlier about commercial instead of speckling it?
Yeah, I mean, essentially lining the corridors. I will say, I'm not being argumentative or debate the merits of commercial at that location. Through this process, I think the overwhelming community sentiment was between 300 and 32 on the west side of 421 would stay rural and estate residential. The CS that's in there is to correspond with Bradley Ridge, which is an existing approval, but otherwise, that was what we heard.
So it seems to me like it's been very purposeful to draw the line between Zionsville and Whitestown with the estate housing right there up against, and to draw the line at 421, you know, as you just mentioned. And then obviously we have our, 32 is the north boundary, and we can see, 300. So it seems to me that anybody that is wanting to come in with a development, whether it be commercial or not, or major subdivision, that the town council specifically has, and the community with what you're saying, have said these areas are no-go, is the feeling that I'm getting.
Or it would be large lots primarily served by well and septic systems in that area. Again, I think there's some opportunity. That area isn't completely developed with 5 and 10 acre lots. There's some opportunity for some additional subdivision, but those would likely be minor.
Yeah. So the question then becomes, going back to what you said earlier, where you guys said about 300, right? So, are we putting our feet in the ground that, 300 is going, while it is 4 lanes up to, are we saying, hey, don't even bother, we're leaving this the way that it is, we're not gonna approve anything that goes through here,
So that little chunk of red north of Appaloosa Crossing, doing something similar in size to the west, but put it in as like the activity center instead of, and possibly that southwest corner. I mean, no one's gonna want their house right there on the corner of those two major roads. But it just makes, I mean, it actually provides a place for people to walk to or ride their bikes to that are in this estate residential without having to cross 421 or 300. Depends on which side of that they're on, but it's so common for all four corners to go one way, and it's very unusual to have estate.
Unusual or unique?
I would not, I would not say that's uniquely Zionsville.
Bringing the
Sorry.
fire.
That is uniquely Zionsville.
I appreciate that. I don't know, it just is best practices typically to do something there versus estate residential right up to those corners. And I'm not saying go the bright red, because that's full commercial, but something there as a transition, to me, is a better solution than.
Brad, on the northwest side of that intersection, you have a pretty significant sized substation right there already. I mean, there's not, I would say the ground to the south of that, yeah, that would make sense. And then you get to the north of that, there's a handful of farm fields, but predominantly residential. So I understand a little bit of where this plan has gotten to. But I think maybe the area south of that substation would make a good, you're right, on that side of that intersection.
And I'm not looking for a major, it just, to me, is a small, I mean, we're not talking about a lot of acreage, but why not send a message that we're willing to entertain some flexibility there and let people capitalize on the road traffic that's gonna be on both those roads. That's where businesses are gonna want to be.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the county they are intending on expanding 300 to 4 lanes. And they've talked to landowners, they've started the process. So it would make sense to have commercial on the corner of one of our larger intersections.
I would just send that back, just ask the town council to consider that, but obviously, they're the final say, so.
But ignorant on the process. So we asked them to consider something that they hadn't already asked us to consider. That opens it back up that they gotta send it back to us, right?
I think it goes back to
Mike
them.
shook his head
Any
no.
changes they make thereafter, I think, stick.
It just goes back to them, they decide.
Yeah.
The process is different under the new law.
It used to ping pong back and forth forever, but now it's one
Okay,
time. It's just
I'm
once.
settled, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, and you're not gonna develop on the south side, you're not gonna four-corner that with that, like, lake pond.
State homes.
That's right there, so.
There's a decent amount of ground there that's away from, maybe I'm not remembering it right. Either way, I think that intersection's just a great opportunity for us to capture some commercial development that everyone keeps talking about. We need assessed value. If there's any place in the entire town, that's the place to do it. I'd want a restaurant there.
I'd go to a restaurant there.
Yeah. Seriously. It's a great location. And then the park, we talked about that park getting included in the future land use map. That would be another recommendation. Anyone else? Anything else that we talked about even? And we had to vote on whatever we were going to send back to them.
Let's circle back to you in Perry Township. Was there a
Well, I
specific
was
change?
thank you, Town Councilor Melton, I appreciate that. If this is going back to Town Council, I would hope that they would take the same eye as to, we're not sure that is quite ready for that development yet, and we're maybe thinking a little too far out on that planning. I believe the uniquely Zionsville plan still calls that it has to be contiguously developed, so you can't leapfrog. But I am confident that a reduction of that, what do we call it? Employment flex area, and further driving that east and even a little bit north would be appreciated by the very few people that actually live out there. So they don't generate as many emails and phone calls and coffee shop pressure that other parts of Zionsville enjoy. And I appreciate that, Craig, thank you.
That's my thing I would send back to him, is to consider some sort of language to allow large lot major developments in the agricultural areas, because there are parcels in Zionsville that are over 40 acres or over 100 acres. And the only thing those landowners can do with it it would be essentially farm it. Or minor, do a minor plat, let the office sit here and go through 7 different minor plats as people chop a 40-acre field down to smaller segments. But I don't want to encourage higher density residential developments, but I don't want to discourage low density major developments in the agricultural community, or in the agricultural zoned areas, or even rural, or any of the residential areas.
There is a statement on page 56 in the classification of the agriculture area. It says, major subdivisions should not be permitted in areas designated for agriculture use. If water and sewer utility networks expand closer to ag areas, the future land use map will need to be evaluated. So I guess, is that what you're?
Well, 5, 10-acre lots are going to be on sewer and well anyway.
Right.
So my concern is someone comes in, hey, let's say a promontory came to us today. Based off of this, we would discourage it. And that's a great development.
I guess I want to clarify as a matter of process, and ultimately I'll defer to my Mr. Dale and Mr. Taylor. My understanding is the council has sent back amendments, and you are tasked with
Affirming.
Accepting or rejecting them.
Right.
The opportunity to introduce additional changes, I'm not sure of.
I hope they're listening. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I don't think there's, we can put into a motion what we're talking about. Try. And then they can dispose of that any way they want to. Just at their next meeting. So,
In fact, if you reject it, you're obligated to state why anyway, knowing that they don't have to listen to you if they can listen to you, but you'd be obligated to say, we did not, if you so chose to go that direction, say we did not accept your amendments. We actually like all of them except we think 3 further changes to be made. Then it goes back to them. They have to take action on it. Or you can accept their changes and say, let's not wait 20 years. Again, let's share our thoughts informally and get this thing done, and you can go either way. But ultimately, under the new process, you're not gonna see this again. It's gonna go to the town council. They're gonna make that decision. I would say this, I attended that meeting, and I've never seen a town council do such detailed work on a comp plan. I thought they put a lot more thought into it than I'm used to seeing. They gave great respect to what you all thought, but there were a lot of details. They were drilling down on details and speaking to their vision also. And so I like to tell all my plan commission clients, I want you to do your job and do whatever you want, but just remember the final say, just like a rezone or a text amendment, on the comp plan, the final say lies with the town council. So keep that in mind.
To send one back
Yeah,
saying, hey,
I'm
we
not
like
either.
it, but we want a little green box and we may want a restaurant at a corner. They did a lot of really good hard work. So, I think we understand the intent of it better now,
Yeah, hearing what I've heard, I'm inclined to just saying, I don't want to send back a rejection. It just sends the wrong message, even if it is a correct thing to do. So maybe we make a motion, meaning that like the green box maybe is an important thing to get on there, but are we really going to send back a rejection just for the little green box?
You'll note I predicated my remarks. If this is going back to town council, but I would agree that I don't find reason to reject their changes.
Here's what I would propose is we just affirm this tonight, and then in future months, we we can take on amendments to the comp plan. We can initiate that. And we can initiate the green box and just forward it to the town council, and then they can vote on it, and then the green box shows up, right?
There's is or will be another one in the EPCON
Yeah.
development as well.
So I just think that we're close enough, let's affirm it, and then if there's any tweaks, we do that in subsequent meetings.
And could I just say, before anybody, a motion would be a motion to approve the comprehensive plan as amended by the town council. That's the formal action you're taking, if you take that action. Or as, I agree, or to reject, but you're approving if you had that direction.
We're approving the amendments that the town council sent back to us.
Yes, which in effect is the final step then for the comp plan.
All right, so do we have a motion?
Mr. President, before you do that, this was advertised as a public hearing.
Thank you.
Now, no one signed in.
What do we do without Jody? Yeah, good job, good job.
I know, I'm getting tired. All right, so we are opening a public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to speak about the comprehensive plan?
Should we make Mr. Burke speak?
All right, seeing no public comment, we'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the uniquely Zionsville comprehensive plan as presented by the Zionsville Town Council.
Thank you, Mr. Melton.
You mean approve, right, not amend?
I'm sorry, well, I approve the amended.
Okay. I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote?
Craig Melton,
Yes.
Kendrick Davis,
Aye.
Nick Plopper,
Aye.
Josh Fedor,
Aye.
Jim Hurst,
Aye.
Brad Johnson.
Aye.
Unanimous approval.
All right, staff, we've got 3 items of.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Other
much for all your
matters.
hard work, sir.
Congratulations.
Sorry,
Thanks, Philly.
Thank you.
already working on moving forward.
20 years.
If you're lucky, it won't be next month.
Maybe not.
All right, we have a few items of additional matters. Pittman Investors LLC, ACT-2026-004.
These items, we are just reporting to you
Okay,
that staff has approved them as required by our zoning ordinance.
if anyone else, I mean, I looked at them, it looked awesome as far as exactly as I'd expect, so we do not.
There is no action
there's-
required of the plan
Okay,
commission
perfect. That's what I was hoping to say.
for each of those 3 ACT petitions.
Does anyone have questions about them? So there's some minor architectural changes. Do we want to present each one of them, or do you want to just consent vote to move on?
Doesn't even require consent vote.
They're just required, they're just showing it, the rules that were adopted just require them to report it to the commission. It's merely reported, it's just there so you can see.
That is according to our ordinance.
Yeah, that you changed the process, yeah.
I'm asking you, do you want them to report, or do we want to adjourn the meeting?
There is one last item, and that is some signatures for the rules of procedure.
Is there another?
It's not on your agenda.
Just signatures.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's, before you adjourn.
Are you all disappointed if you don't get to present?
Okay.
All right. All right, so we have signatures for the rules and procedures.
Plan as well.
And is there any presentation or vote that needs to be done for the rules and procedures? Is it just the signatures, correct?
We approved them or you approved them last month.
Okay,
We just neglected to get you.
so we can have a motion to adjourn.
Yep.
So moved.
Oh, there it was.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.